This week on the Fast Lane Car, it's a mega mashup special. We take 4 crossovers and take them where you probably never will. We take a popular Honda and Toyota crossover off-road and see which one is more off-road worthy.
Quite a bit of spinning, Nathan, actually.
Yeah, but at least the rear wheels are working. I think that the Honda CR-V has more aggressive rubber. It claws in a little bit better, so the front wheels are doing more work.
And we take a luxurious Volvo and Infiniti crossover on the track and find out which one is faster. So sit back, buckle up, the Fast Lane Car is on right now.
Howdy folks, Nathan Adlin here at the Fast Lane Car, and we have something new for you today. It's called Ruts and Guts, and basically it's an off-road review that we rate each vehicle on. And I got something special for you, because over here on my left is the 2015 Toyota RAV4, and on my right, the 2015 Honda CR-V. Folks, this is the same 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine that's been in the Toyota RAV4 for a couple of years now. This one puts out 176 horsepower and 172 pound-feet of torque. It's hooked up to a 6-speed automatic transmission that feeds power to the front wheels, but because this is an all-wheel drive, power can go to the rear as well. Now, this one gets 22 miles per gallon city, 29 miles per gallon highway. That's an EPA rating. And all in all, that's not too terribly bad for a vehicle that has all-wheel drive. The Honda is a totally different beast than the Toyota when it comes to what's under the hood, and here's why. This is a brand new engine. It's an Earth Dreams engine, but more importantly, it puts out 185 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque, which is considerably more than the Toyota. Now, it's all hooked up to a continuously variable transmission, a CVT. Power is sent to the front wheels, and this has an all-wheel drive system, so some power gets back to the rear wheels as well. Now, here's the really important part, aside from the fact that this has more power. The overall EPA numbers here, check this out, drum roll, 26 miles per gallon city, 33 miles per gallon highway. That's impressive. Folks, we have a lot of new stuff going on here off-road, and one of which is our off-road rating system. A couple of you suggested that we do something different to give you a little bit more information about how these things perform in the mud and snow. That's why it's on Ruts and Guts. So, we have a temporary rating system that we want you to help us with. Our rating system is right now stars, but if you have something that you want to suggest in terms of gears or tires or mountains or hooters or whatever you want to throw in there, you go ahead. Right now, I want to talk about 4 of the features that we're going to be covering. Approach angle, departure angle, breakover angle, that's in the center, ride height. Oh, and one more thing on top of that, tires. Tires are hugely important off-road. And in this particular case, both of these tires are mud and snow. Now, they are a step above your regular all-season tires. You can see a much more aggressive track right here, and off-road, they work pretty well. So, on our new rating system, we'd probably give them anywhere between a 4 and 7-star rating, depending on how well they self-clean and adhere to the ground.
Ooh, all these lights started coming up, but then there was no problem. So there was a little bit of slide. The rear end actually dropped a little bit. I think this thing distributes weight a little bit different than the CR-V as well. And it drooped a little bit, but I could feel the rear end kick in and push me up the hill. It worked in conjunction with the front wheels, despite the fact that the tires are not adhering very well.
Here it is, folks. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, you need to copy that here a little bit closer for you. This is our Ruts and Guts rating system right here. Basically, we're putting points on everything we're judging. For instance, the tires. The Honda CR-V got 5 points out of 10. The Toyota got 4 points out of 10. I like the tires that are on the Honda. They are button snow tires that have really good grip. Ground clearance. Well, the Toyota is 6.3 inches and the Honda is 6.8 inches. So the Honda got 5 points, the Toyota got 4 points out of 10. See how that works? Nothing's really changed with the 2015 Toyota. It's pretty much the same vehicle. With that being said, it's not an ugly design at all. It's distinctive. You know it's a Toyota no matter how far away it is, and it definitely has some presence. I really wish that the fake front skid plate didn't look so fake, or they just removed it altogether. Otherwise, it's a relatively handsome car. Folks, we like to do drag races, but unfortunately it's kind of illegal to do them in the streets. But what we can do are trunk races. You ready? And do them at the same time. Set, go! Set, go! Yeah, it's looking close, but I think Honda's gonna take it. Honda took it on the way down. And now how about on the way up? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go! I don't know. I think Honda's taking it both ways. Indeed, folks, Honda is faster with the automatic tailgate.
I know I wear silly hats, folks, but that's because I have no hair. Roman has this thick, amazing toupee, and I have no hair, so. Anyway, but in terms of off-road driving ability, I think this is just a little tiny bit better. And if it had more aggressive rubber, the Toyota would absolutely trounce the CR-V. I like being able to trigger the rear wheels. It's not even so much trigger them, it's a question of actually just creating more traction. If they're not needed, the system won't make them rotate, I would assume. Going up and over hills, small hills, rocks, and some ruts, the CR-V doesn't quite chatter as much. It feels just a little tighter. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with the way that the RAV4 is performing. No problem at all. CR-V has nearly a ½ inch higher ride height, but I don't think that really makes much of a difference on regular driving.
Quite a bit of spinning, Nathan, actually.
Yeah, but at least the rear wheels are working. I think that the Honda CR-V has more aggressive rubber. It claws in a little bit better, so the front wheels are doing more work. With this one, it's slipping more, but the rear end is kicking in and really pushing it.
Today's TFL matchup review is brought to you by Alphanumeric Tongue Twister. Let's see if you can say this with me. To my left is the Volvo XC60 T6 AWD, and to my right is the Infiniti QX70S with the 3.7 liter V6. Now, the modern luxury crossover has to be 3 cars in one. First, a luxury car, secondly, a station wagon, and thirdly, a sports car. So let's see how these 2 cars measure up under all 3 of those criteria. All right, Andre's in the Volvo, I'm in the Infiniti. I'm betting sport mode that he's going to be faster because this is all about torque and he's got it. Yep, it's a turbo. In fact, it's a twin scroll turbo, putting out 300 horsepower, 325 pound-foot of torque through a 6-speed automatic transmission with, of course, paddle shifters. Remember I said it has to be part sports car, and it has all-wheel drive. Of course, it's got that funky all-wheel drive where it's front-wheel drive. When the wheels lose traction, then it sends power to the back. Not my favorite form of all-wheel drive. I kind of like when all four wheels are powered all the time. More horsepower, less torque. 325 horsepower, 267 pound-foot of torque, and we have a 7-speed automatic, of course with paddle shifters. Once again, it's very sporty. It also has intelligent all-wheel drive, which means it sends power to whichever wheel needs it. Now, those are all the numbers, but in real-world testing, what does that mean? Andre, are you up for a drag race?
Da!
He says da! So, let's take him down the drag strip and see which one's faster. It should be interesting. More horsepower, turbocharging, naturally aspirated. It'll be a close contest. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And there he goes. I got a little bit of a jump on him, but for sure he's gone. It's all about torque, and of course he's got the turbo, which helps, especially up here at a mile above sea level where there's less air density, which ultimately means less power. If you're buying a car in this segment, you want a station wagon, at least to some extent, and you want comfortable room for at least 4 people, if not 5. Now I am sitting behind myself in the Volvo, and granted this Volvo has more cargo room than the Infiniti, but look at this. My knees barely fit, my head barely fits, and if you were to put Nathan next to me, we would barely fit, and that's a problem. Luxury. So if you define luxury by cost, these two cars are certainly luxurious. $52,000 and change, $59,000 and change. The Infiniti actually has $12,000 worth of options. Of course, both cars come packed with safety features. The Infiniti has this very sexy sloping roofline. Of course, the issue with a sexy sloping roofline is there's not a lot of room to get in and out of the back seat. And once I'm in the back seat, my head hits the ceiling, my knees hit the front driver's seat, and of course, if you had kiddos in here, you'd have a very difficult time in getting them in and out of this vehicle. Guys, this is normally a very, very tight track. It's in essence a go-kart track, and you might think to yourself, well, you'd rather be on Laguna Seca testing these cars, and the truth is I wouldn't. I love the fact that these tight corners really point out the strengths and the weaknesses of these cars, because you don't have a lot of room to necessarily speed up and get into that really fast rhythm, but you do have a lot of room to experience a car at kind of its worst and best. I can tell you right now, that's floored. I do like the feel of this turbo. It does have instantaneous punch. The brakes are solid, but when you start pushing it around these corners, that's when you can really start to feel the nose heaviness, the front end bias of this Volvo. I know it's all-wheel drive, but it has this funky Haldex system that sends power to the front wheels, and when they lose grip, then the back wheels get power. And in essence, it's like hustling a front-wheel drive car around a racetrack. So it plows, there's a lot of push. And I know you guys aren't going to be taking these sorts of crossovers on a racetrack, especially not this Volvo. But in general, at 80% of its capacity, it's pretty neutral. If you define luxury by style, then the Volvo is looking somewhat dated. It's been around a while. And the Infiniti, with that kind of shark-like maw, is very aggressive, which may turn off some buyers. Now, if you define luxury by infotainment systems, then both of these are a little troubling. The Volvo system has a small screen and menus within menus within menus. And the Infiniti, same issue. Small screen and way too many buttons. It needs updating. Andre drives like a pimp, man. He's got that way back lean style. Yeah, man, you're a pimp, dude. All right, let's see what this is like. Immediately, it feels more sporty. You feel like the chassis is much more sorted. Even this first turn, I can tell it's not as wobbly. This is definitely a sports car of the two. Oh, seatbelts just grab me and tighten it. Oh yeah, I feel like I have a lot more control. Like I have a lot more capability to go fast. Now, I am immediately noticing one thing, and that is the visibility out of this car. Now, I immediately noticed one thing: the visibility out of this Infiniti is not great. And on a racetrack, you want to be able to see everything that's around you. And here, even though the suspension is much taunter, the steering is much more direct, the engine without that turbo isn't quite as poppy. You know, it doesn't quite have that pop, but it is much more linear. 18 mpg combined, 20 mpg combined. And if it were my money, which of these two cars would I get? Well, I have to be honest here, I have a very soft spot for Volvos, but the fact that this is almost $7,000 cheaper doesn't hurt. So I'd go for the Volvo. There's of course nothing wrong with the Infiniti. The problem with both of these cars is that they're trying to be all things to all people. And I suspect if you really want the sporty one, you'd go for the new Porsche Macan. And if you'd really want the one that's got all the utility, you'd probably go for the Lexus RX, because you can get that in a hybrid and get really phenomenal fuel economy, at least for this segment.
It's cold up here and it certainly is windy. It's partially because we're really high up. We're over 8,000 feet in elevation. And speaking of elevation, if you're tall like I am, I'm 6'1" with my big boy boots on, got to be careful on these trunk lids. Yeah, they'll nail your head. Now, speaking of this opening, it's commodious. It's huge inside. Behind the second row seat, 35.2 cubic feet of space. If you fold the seats down, the Honda CR-V has 70.9 cubic feet of cargo space. That's really good. But there's something important you need to know, and that is this. The Toyota RAV4, noticeably bigger. That's right, baby. Behind the second row seats, 38.4 cubic feet of space. Fold these seats down, 73.5 cubic feet of space. And in my estimation, that's bigger.
Okay, so now that I'm heading off-road, let me explain the point system once again. We're grouping approach, departure, and breakover angles together. We're going to have articulation, that's with suspension. We're going to have tires. Tires is its own category. We're going to have four-wheel drive / all-wheel drive system. So transfer case, no transfer case, hydraulic, whatever it is, however it works, we're going to comment on how well it works. Just simple, okay? And then we're going to talk about overall feel. Now, overall feel is somewhat subjective, but it does have to do with how the engine is doing. So if there's enough power, it's pulling you out of a problem, or enough torque to chug you up that hill, those types of things, it's all part of it. The other part is seat of the pants, which is also part of feel.
Honda's come a long way with styling and the CR-V because this new front end is fantastic. The overall look is more elegant, and if you look at each line, it's a little bit more aggressive and they're slightly sharper. But most importantly, as a whole package, it takes a droopy vehicle and makes it much more cool.
So, we have a rating system that we are going to start using for ruts and guts. And I gotta tell you, I'm thrilled that we're doing it because it forces us to go off-road and spend a little bit more time off-road, a place that Roman doesn't always like, and a place that I love,
So we have this whole thing, including approach and departure angles with breakover. That's combined 15 points. Both cars get 5 points for that. And then, of course, is the all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive system. Simply put, the Toyota got 5 points, the Honda got 4 points. I like the Toyota system slightly better because when you hit the button, you know it's working. You can actually feel the rear wheels push you along. So if it had better rubber, it would be just awesome. Point being is that at the end of the day, with everything, including off-road ability, they both get a combined 22 points. Isn't that cool?
And I highly recommend, if you want either of these vehicles and you live in snow, get snow tires. You get snow tires and suddenly these things will be total snow cats. See what I'm saying? That's how I roll, yo. By the way, the interior in the Toyota, I like what they've done to update it, but in terms of a comparison to the Honda, it doesn't touch the Honda. The Toyota has all of this fake carbon fiber. Even if it was real, it's kind of silly.
I bet you were wondering about pricing. These cars are so competitive that they are literally one step away from each other. They both come in fully loaded with all-wheel drive at just under $34,000. Now, on our old rating system of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, the Toyota RAV4, I give it a lease it. The Honda CR-V, I give it a buy it. Why? Because the Honda is a better all-around package. They really kicked ass, and now it looks pretty good. The Toyota RAV4 is still an excellent vehicle, and giving it a lease it still means it's worth leasing. It's a great car. For the Fast Lane Car, this is Nathan Adlin saying don't forget to go to tflcar.com for news, views, and real-world reviews. Bye.